everybody, I'm Elizabeth Hines from OurPaleoFamily.com, and today, hopefully, I'm going to show you why you should not throw out your Instant Pot. It's just so funny. I received a couple comments from viewers like you recently saying this thing is not performing the magic tricks that I was hoping it would do, and I'm ready to throw it out. And then I was just talking with a friend today who was saying the same thing, and you know, I think maybe some other YouTubers, some other people who have a lot of visibility on the interwebs have led people to believe that this machine is going to, I cannot open this, I know I'm going to hurt myself here, it's going to revolutionize your life, and you know what, it's probably not going to do that, but it is a good tool if you can figure out how to use it in a way that works for you. And so today, while I'm fighting with this avocado oil that's very secure, let me just tell you what's happening. I'm sick, I don't feel well. If you see captions come up on the screen, pay attention to those, because those will be the places where my video editor / husband goes back and is telling you what I meant to say. I'm probably going to say some things that I don't mean to say. But so I woke up feeling very sick. We had Christmas parties 2 nights in a row. I ate a lot of cheesy dips, artichoke dip and crab dip and blah, blah, blah. And I think my body is just saying, enough of that, Elizabeth. And I don't feel well. I just felt blah all day, and it's raining and it's freezing cold. And I was ready to, this tells you how desperate I am, was ready to order pizza, gluten-free pizza, from one of the big chains that delivers. And you know that would just be a cross-contamination nightmare. We've never, ever, ever done it. That's how I was feeling. And I thought, no, you know, this is a perfect opportunity for me to use the Instant Pot. And let me just show you what I'm going to do in kind of a moment of desperation. So the cupboard is actually kind of bare. I don't even have carrots and celery, which I mean, I almost always do. I don't even have ground beef. But I did have some cuts of meat still in my freezer from my last butcher box, that one that was just a big bloody mess. And the packages were all busted open. And I think I was so mad and frustrated with them that I just kind of forgot about it. Forgot that I had stuff in the freezer from them. So I went out and looked, and I found these 2 packages of, I think they're calling it sirloin tips. It says sirloin tips, but it sure just looks like one piece of meat, but it's frozen solid. So I'm doing like a stew kind of thing. I had this fancy salmon and potatoes and greens recipe I was going to try. So I have these cute little organic new potatoes that I found at Aldi of all places. And those were still in my fridge, and this is not the salt I want. Are any Star Wars fans out there? You are not the salt I'm looking for. That's my Himalayan salt, which is delicious for finishing, but it doesn't really season particularly well. It's not a salty salt, and I need that with my onions. So I'm just showing you, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to follow a recipe. I'm going to look at what I have in my cupboard and see what can I make a meal out of. I did order a box from US Wellness Meats. I didn't show you all that because I just couldn't the day that it came in. But I ordered some good beef bones. I got some chicken feet too, so I could make some really good broth. So I happen to have some, I've noticed when I do my videos and I do this a lot, it makes a lot of noise, and I'm sorry for that. So I'm going to try to break myself of that habit. So I had some beef broth in the freezer. I almost always have broth because I use it so much. I keep some boughton. My family makes fun of me for using that word. They use it in the Little House on the Prairie books. Laura Ingalls Wilder writes the word boughton. So anyway, I think it's a real word. I keep some carton, some boxed broth in my pantry pretty much all the time, just in case I run out of homemade, but I happen to be fully stocked. Not on a lot of stuff, but I've got a freezer full of broth. I have ham broth, I have chicken broth, and I have beef broth right now. So I just defrosted a container of beef broth on my stove. I'm going to saute these onions. I have it on saute normal, and my onions are going. I'm just going to open these packages of meat. Normally I would have my meat thawed. A sirloin roast, whatever you want to call this, should cook according to the Instant Pot instruction manual for about 30 minutes. But this thing is frozen. It's not very thick, and it's looking fairly lean, but it's also frozen. And so I have time. I'm going to put it in for 45 minutes. And you know what? I'm just guessing based on my experience with the Instant Pot. And I feel like even though some people on the pot roast video said, oh, your roast is tough because it's overcooked, it wasn't overcooked. I know what overcooked meat is. That was not overcooked. I think beef can handle cooking for a pretty long time. So I'm going to just scoot my onions to the side. I almost bang it every time, and I didn't do it. That one's a little bit long. I'm trying to just get it to brown a little bit. I don't know that I can cut this. Woo, look at that. So listen, don't throw out your Instant Pot. I understand that you might get frustrated because it seems, I'm taking that out so I can cut it in half. It seems like people are thinking that they should be able to just throw a bunch of stuff in and turn it on and dinner is ready in 10 minutes. I know that was really dangerous, but I was being very careful. That's why I quit talking for a second. But it doesn't work that way. And actually for a lot of the really good, maybe you'd say more advanced recipes, you need to pressurize, cook something for a while, and then let the pressure come down and add something to it, and then pressurize it again, and then let that come down, and then maybe you simmer the sauce. So there are multiple steps, but when you think about how long it would take to cook a tougher cut of meat, if you were just going to do it like a slow braise in the oven, it's a whole day project in your crock pot, or a half a day project in your oven. So to be able to do it in an hour is pretty miraculous. So I'm just trying to get a little bit of color, a little browning on my meat. And then I have these cute little new potatoes, which I just washed them in this bag. I thought I would be really clever and just submerge the whole bag in my sink of hot water. So I washed them really well that way, but I can see that there's a little bit of dirt on a couple of them. So I'm just going to kind of inspect them. Let me get a paper towel. So in the end, this is going to be just another sort of version of pot roast. Or maybe, I mean, it's called sirloin tips, which to me, tips means kind of bite-sized pieces. So maybe it is a bunch of little bite-sized pieces that are just packed together in there. In which case this is going to come out more like a beef stew, which I would prefer, I think. So I'm going to want to thicken up my broth to make it gravy-like in the end, and we'll do that after everything's cooked. Just making sure these don't have bad spots. There's a little big root. Peel that off. These are nice potatoes. You never know what you're going to find at Aldi. I don't know if you have an Aldi near you, but they have some great prices. They carry a lot of organic produce. They have a lot of gluten-free junk that I do buy. I've talked about this before. Like I'll buy their brownie mix or their cake mix, and I'll make cupcakes, muffins, and that sort of thing to send to kids' parties, because I just don't want to spend my almond flour and dates and maple syrup. All that stuff's expensive. This is my Christmas clock. people in my family don't enjoy my Christmas clock, but I like it very much. All right, so I just let this get a teeny bit of browning. Just sear it a little bit. It adds a lot of flavor. Yeah, I can see that starting to come apart. It is, I think it is going to be little beef tips. Yeah, I stopped myself several times, but it got me that time. So I had seasoned the first side. I flipped everything over. And you know what? I want this on high because I just want it to go. So I'm going to turn it off, saute, and then adjust, and now it's up to more. It's a fairly large chunks of meat in there. So I want to season well. I probably in all have a half a teaspoon of pepper and maybe a teaspoon of salt. It's not that much. Each of these was a pound. I really probably just needed the one, but knowing that I'm not feeling fantastic, I might not want to cook tomorrow, so this will leave some nice leftovers for my family. So this is a good meat and potatoes. I had some frozen cut okra in the freezer, so I'll just saute that on the stove, and then we'll have something green because I don't feel like doing anything fancy. You know what I could have done? I could have coated my meat in arrowroot and then sauteed it, and then it would have naturally made that thick gravy. I did not think to do that, but I can just make a slurry with my arrowroot and water afterwards, and we'll be able to thicken it up, and it'll be just fine. I think that's good. It's going to be good because I'm ready to get on with it. So all I'm going to do is toss these potatoes right on top. Let me see. They're called 2-bite potatoes, 24 ounces, so a pound and a half of new potatoes. It's my carton of beef broth, which is just shy of 2 cups. And that goes. Then I have to turn it off to switch to pressure. Sealing, and I'm going to do 45 minutes. That's probably way sufficient. Okay, see you back here in a few. Hi everybody, so we've had 45 minutes cooking with the meat and potatoes and broth and an onion, and I just quick released the pressure. It was, let's see, 8 minutes, and then I let the pressure out, and we're just going to see what we have. You know what, it may not be fancy, but it's going to be good. It's going to taste good. I'm just curious kind of what the cuts of meat are like. So let me go ahead and turn this off and turn saute back on. I know my potatoes will be very well cooked. You see they sort of popped open. That looks yummy. I've seen recipes of these potatoes. I was thinking about the salmon one I was going to do. Where you mash them. You cook them in there and then give them a mash. We could do that. I think I'm going to leave them whole for now. Let me scoot this closer to myself. Just fishing the potatoes out so they don't get way overcooked. It's starting to bubble. I have my arrowroot and water slurry here. So we can make this gravy-like. I would love to know what you cook for Christmas dinner. Leave me a comment and tell me what is on your menu. We've always had what we call beef tips. It's like a beef and a gravy sort of thing, similar to this, but similar but different. But we're going to have that with some family before Christmas, and so I didn't want to have beef tips twice, like 2 days apart. So I'm trying to come up with something else for Christmas that will be special but won't have me in the kitchen all day. You know, I want to spend my time with my family. So if you have some brilliant ideas for paleo recipes, what you make for Christmas, I would love to hear it. It doesn't have to be traditional, turkey, ham, whatever. We had that for Thanksgiving. So I didn't even measure this. It's about a tablespoon of arrowroot, about probably 2 tablespoons of water. Just mix that up. Excuse me. You want your liquid to be boiling when you add it in. You can use different gluten-free starches. Cassava flour would work. I use sometimes that glucomannan, which is from the konjac root, and that has lower carb content. This is kind of an interesting meat. You pull a piece out, and a little bit of the gravy, broth. I want to know if it's seasoned well. Get a little piece of potato. Because there's so much broth in there, which actually I wanted that because I'm not feeling very well. When I'm not feeling well, I always want broth, soup. Tastes really good. Wow, that bite of meat was super, super tender. Super tender. Let me show you a bigger piece of it so you can see what it's like. I didn't cut this, remember this is how it came. It was called sirloin tips. So you can see the fibers there. It's very tender. There's a lot of collagen in there. That's excellent. That's going to be good for me not feeling super great. And my broth was okay. It needs a little pepper, I think. A little salt. So now I'll finish with my Himalayan salt. If you like the flavor of a bay leaf, the bay leaf would be really good in there. I tend, when I have really good quality meat, I think this is just my upbringing, how my grandma cooked. I just like salt and pepper because the meat tastes good. And I have good broth and the broth tastes good. And so I don't want to do anything super fancy. So that's it. My whole point in making this recipe was showing you, hopefully convincing you not to throw out your Instant Pot. And I say that kind of in jest, but I just heard from a couple people really recently that they were frustrated with their Instant Pot. It wasn't doing what they wanted it to do. And I'm not sure what they were wanting it to do, but I was able to take some meat from the freezer, a couple vegetables from the crisper drawer, and a carton of broth, salt and pepper, throw that in, and now I have a meal. Instead of ordering out for pizza or going out, we know the way we eat, there are so few places we can eat safely, honestly, so we make a choice. Do we go to one of these 2 or 3 places where we know we can eat safely and not be sick, or do we compromise and know at least I'm not going to feel well if we eat there? Or do we choose to spend a lot of money for the 4 of us, probably $100, to eat at a nicer place that will be safe but something different? Or do I just cook at home? So I usually cook at home. And I didn't have anything that would be easy for me to cook besides just scrambled eggs. My husband eats an omelet for breakfast every day. I really try not to make eggs for dinner anymore because he's eating them for breakfast every day. And I actually had eggs for lunch today myself. So I was able to take my stuff from the freezer and put together a meal in under an hour in my Instant Pot. I have some okra just in a pan. It was on the stove, but it was making a lot of noise, so I shoved it in the oven so it wouldn't be distracting on the video. And that's it. I'm actually going to put my potatoes back in here because they'll just get even yummier. You know, they cooked in that broth, which is full of flavor. And you saw how, as I pulled my meat apart, it had a lot of collagen in it. So we're basically going to have a beef stew. Did I say this already? I would love it if it had some carrots, some celery, maybe some bell pepper. Although bell peppers do not agree with me. I think that's part of why I'm sick. I ate a bunch of bell peppers yesterday because they were so pretty and yummy in the veggie trays. So anyway, what do we call this? Beef stew. It was some sirloin tips and some new potatoes, broth and an onion, 45 minutes in my Instant Pot. And we have a healthy dinner. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. I hope you enjoy your Instant Pot. Let me know if you have questions. Oh, I keep hearing too people are afraid of their Instant Pot. And I have had mine malfunction a couple times, but it beeps and it lets you know when something is going wrong. It doesn't explode. At least I've never heard of one exploding like you hear about the old-fashioned pressure cookers. could explode and really cause some damage. I've never heard of these electric ones doing that. And even though mine has done some quirky things occasionally, never been anything dangerous. It just basically shuts itself off and makes a racket. So that's it. Let me know if you have questions. I hope you enjoy this. See you next time.